No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms.
I'm drinking with you, Drew.
There you go, drinking with me. We say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. The band is back together with Ezra Ginsburg, with Dave Manouk. I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss what else but another Winnipeg Jets victory. This one, a shutout over the Utah Hockey Club, a team that I will undoubtedly call the Arizona Coyotes multiple times over the next hour. Of course, it being election day south of the border, I decided to start drinking early today. So please, cheers, belly up, enjoy. This is going to be a wild ride for the next 60 minutes, much like the Winnipeg Jets victory over the Utah Hockey Club.
It's like a Winnipeg Jets presidential race drinking game, right? Like you just drink every time the Jets win, drink every time they announce the results from another state.
Yeah, anytime there's a battleground, whatever state you have to take a shot, you would be dead within at least a solid 20, 25 minutes minimum. But for all those who have decided to tap out on John King or Steve Kornacki or whomever you are choosing to watch your election coverage with, assuming you're watching it, we are thrilled that you're with us here on this Tuesday night to discuss yet another Winnipeg Jets victory. This one in a far different manner than we saw on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Lightning, a game that was wild and crazy. This much more of a business-like, workman-like, simple process for the Jets in taking the 3-0 victory, sort of back to the roots of a team that wants to start with defense first, which they of course did by pitching the shutout against the Utah Hockey Club, Ezzy.
Yeah, well, before we get into the breakdown of the game, I just want to say I'm honored to be broadcasting from my new home in sunny St. James. I'm no longer a resident of River Heights, so this is kind of historic for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show because I've always been either broadcasting in my own house or Dave's house. Drew's never invited me to his house in Crescentwood, but I understand that because of the moat and everything like that. It's hard to actually gain, proper access to his huge sprawling mansion.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm happy to be broadcasting here from St. James. As you can see, I've still got a little bit of setting up to do. My computer's on a couple of boxes right now, but I've got a few things. I got the IC license plate and, the Illegal Curve Jets Ducks game that we did back in the day. But yeah, I mean, look, the Jets, this was.
Where's that poster from?
That's when that was the game that we did at Goodwill Social Club. For those who have heard of Goodwill Social Club, that's when the Ducks retired Teemu Selanne's jersey.
Drew, only you and I were there.
Okay, I was going to ask, why do I have no recollection of this happening?
No offense, you weren't invited.
Well, we're talking, when was that, Dave? Like 2017, 2018? Like we're
Something
talking
like that,
6 or 7 years ago. So
yeah,
we've got the nice little sign here.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to get that in there that I'm a proud resident of St. James now. So I'll say keep your stick on the ice. People who know what I'm talking about. Ralph from St. James, of course. So give Ralph a shout out. Obviously, the best caller that we ever had back in the TSN 1290 days. But yeah, I mean, this was it was a bit of a snoozer, guys. Like, let's be honest, it was a little low event, but I think Jets fans will take it. Look, it was mentioned on the broadcast by Dan Robertson and Kevin Sawyer, and then also when Sarah was talking to Craig Button during the intermissions, like the Jets have proven, you want to play a run and gun, high scoring game. We just saw that with the Jets and the Lightning. You want to play a tight checking, low scoring game where there's a few power plays, but you rely on your penalty kill. The Jets can play that type of game as well, right? So obviously a really well-deserved shutout by Connor Hellebuck. He didn't have to steal the game or anything like that, but you think back, guys, late in that second period, remember those saves that he made on Clayton Keller?
Yeah,
he's a hell of a hockey player. Wow, is he good? Logan Cooley too, and Dylan Gunther. I mean, this Utah club, we talked about it, guys, before the season started. We were expecting them to be better than they were last year when they were the Arizona Coyotes. And look, what have they earned points in 9 of 13 games, 9 of 14 games, something like that, right, guys? So I mean,
8 of 13 now, but yes.
There you go, 8 of 13. So you know what that tells you? They're a scrappy hockey club. And Andre Turin, he's a good hockey coach. They're well coached. They're not an easy out anymore. So look, the Jets just outplayed them, and we got to give a big shout out. I'm sure Dave's going to get in here in a second for Nino Niederreiter. I mean, 900th game, one of the best players to ever come out of Switzerland, scores a couple goals. And that third line, guys, wasn't very effective in the first couple periods. And then they came alive in the third, and I thought they had several good shifts where they do what they usually do, hem the opponent in their zone, use their physicality, drive the net, everything like that. And we'll get into the Niederreiter second goal, which obviously, he creates that in his own zone with a good check on Kesselring. But yeah, it was just an overall kind of, even though it wasn't, you're not going to write home about this type of game, it was still an impressive game because they were in control of this game from the start of the game.
Yeah, and I'd say that their penalty kill was good again. I mean, they were really effective in the first three. They allowed a few more shots in the fourth one. And one of the things that the Jets do, and they don't take a lot of penalties, so they wouldn't like that element of things. Kyle Connor, say goodbye to that Lady Bing with his second or third penalty of the season. But, so they take the 4 penalties, especially in the first 3. They didn't allow a shot on one of them. They only allowed 1 shot. I think they had 2 shots in the other 2. And then I think they gave up 3 shots in the fourth and final one that the Coyotes, sorry, there I get the first one, Utah Hockey Club took. And, Ezzy, to the point that you made, and what a surprise. Oh, the power play scored again. Although it's funny because today during our media availability earlier in the day, Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press brought up the fact that there was an evenness to the power play and how both units were pushing the other. And we talked about it, Drew, this weekend, about how the second unit had actually scored a few more goals, kind of taking the lead in that regard, but that they were really, in terms of ice time, they were even. And then it was funny because, of course, second power play that they get, the first unit was on for the entirety of the power play and then scored with very late. And then the other thing I would probably mention and you're right, in terms of the third line or the Lowry line, let's not get bogged down in details as to what number line they are. But the truth is, one of the biggest things we talked about at the beginning of the season, we've talked about it for years, but one of the biggest, most important things was they can't just hold the opponent's best. They've got to be able to produce. And I just quickly going to throw this one out there. Through 13 games, Nino Niederreiter, 7 goals, 5 assists. Mason Appleton, 4 goals, 6 assists. And Adam Lowry, 2 goals, 9 assists. So you're not just holding the opponent's best, you're scoring, you're producing. That's got to be one of the best third lines. And again, I haven't done a cross-section of the other 31 teams, Ezzy, but to me, when you can get that kind of production from that line, and you're getting production from the other 2 lines, when you're getting that kind of production from those guys, it's a significant reason why this Jets team is winning.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dave. When you're getting that kind of contribution, lines 1, 2, and 3 in whatever order you want to get it, doesn't really matter. And then you have a fourth line that typically is winning their minutes as well. They didn't tonight. They actually had one of their weaker performances. They only had about 20% of the possession, so they weren't very good tonight. I wouldn't be shocked, by the by, if we saw maybe a David Gustafsson get back in the lineup on Thursday against the Colorado Avalanche. Although the
sounds like a hot take, Dave.
Well, it's not a hot take, but Scott Arniel, it was last week at this point in time. He said that he needed to get David Gustafsson back into the lineup. So obviously the team is still winning, so that usually means you don't make any significant lineup changes. But at the same time, only that 20% possession number, that's not great at 5-on-5, especially for a line that's been munching most of its minutes so far this year. That said, I think if you're the Winnipeg Jets, the win is great. The score is fabulous. The shutout is terrific. I think what you're most excited about tonight is that the penalty kill had a perfect game, because the last few games, and it hasn't really been talked about very much because the offense has been so incredible.
We talked about it.
6 goals against Detroit, 6 goals against Columbus, 7 goals against Tampa Bay, is that the penalty kill had been giving up almost a goal in each of those games. So you want to see that goose egg back on the board from the penalty kill, as it was really clicking earlier in the season. Earlier in the season, we're only at game 13. You know what I mean? In the first 4 or 5 games before they had a little bit of a lull where they were giving up a goal a game. You're glad to see it back at that perfect 4 for 4 in tonight's game, because we know the power play has been so incredibly good. And now that the penalty kill was back to perfection tonight and really was very solid in minimizing the chances for the Utah Hockey Club. It's good feelings all around for the Winnipeg Jets. Scott Arniel is going to speak to the media coming up momentarily here. We will, of course, bring that to you live here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's brought to you by our friends at Play Now. Play Now, the title sponsor for all of our programming. Don't bet on illegal sites. Bet with Play Now instead. Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. We can see backstage that the media is filtering into the Matt Frost Media Center, which is a pretty good cue that Scott Arniel is only seconds away. He will, of course, have him live here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. But from the Jets' perspective, again, a 3-0 victory. It's just very, very solid performance by the Winnipeg Jets tonight against an opponent that is, lesser than the Winnipeg Jets, not one of the absolute weakest teams in the league, but better than some of the weaker ones, but not as good as the Winnipeg Jets.
We talk a lot about good defense leading to good offense. Talked this morning about it. Nino Niederreiter goes out in kind of textbook, right? I imagine you'll probably have that on repeat on video for the future, like that stick lift that he makes in your own end, kind of gets the play going the other way, and then he jumps in, and that's a perfect example, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll throw that on the old system video, but that is just going the distance, coming all the way back. I mean, we've preached that for a while, that we're never out of it. You never know how the puck's going to bounce, or where it's going to end up, and he just kept coming, and obviously he turned in the offense the other way.
I'm sure you liked a lot of things about tonight's game. Where does the just 21 shots given up, and they had 4 power plays too, and they didn't get a whole lot generated there? I imagine that's a stat that you're pretty happy about, and probably very few scoring chances.
Yeah, it was a grind though. It seemed like it was like I had talked about this morning about Utah. They were making it difficult on us and letting us get in the interior and really getting second chances. But I like the way we kind of hung with it. Just like that power play goal. It took us 1 minute and 55 seconds to finally get it. But our PK, I thought, was really good against a real dangerous-looking group there that they have. And, really kind of the shots were coming from farther out than the way what we like. And we want it to be farther out like that. And just thought it was a good, for us to limit, there's some top-end skill that they have. We limit them to not a lot of quality chances.
Got a lot of weapons at your disposal. Maybe we don't talk about Nino all that much when it comes to offensive production, but he's showing that he's more than capable. Great set of hands on the first goal. 900 games, big milestone for him and a big night for him.
Yeah, that's special. That's a lot of games. And we had a little tribute to him and saw all his pictures from all the jerseys he's worn and the places he's played. And he hasn't changed a bit. But, no, it's he's a big power forward, and that line I thought was really good. They had to, take that Keller line on and those skill guys, and I thought they did a really good job. And they were big, obviously, allowing those guys on the PK were really strong. So when that line plays like that, they're a force. They're hard to handle, and they wear teams down because they spend so much time in the offensive zone.
We've talked a lot about the defense, being among the top blue line scoring in the league. But if you look under the hood, you guys are top 5 in blue line shots, chances, expected goals at 5-on-5. How much has your blue line been a driver in you guys having the most goals for per game? Like, how much has it been those guys?
Well, I think that's something that's been preached here for the last couple of years. I know that I've always talked to the D about you're going to be out there in situations and you're in the offensive zone. You're not just a pylon, you're not just a spectator, that you're a part of the offense. On our breakouts, if you're just going to try to rush up ice with 3 forwards, the opposition's going to deny you ice and they're not going to allow you to enter. So we have to have that second wave. Our D have to be a part of that rush, and I think we do a great job of that. But just the fact of when you have a lane to get pucks to that net front, that creates the chaos. That creates the explosion of where that puck may go to. That creates second and third opportunities. We do a pretty good job of having good net front presence. So those shots, if they do get through, usually that turns into good opportunities, second opportunities.
The Connor Scheifele-Villari line has been playing some of their best hockey lately. How much do you think of that, with their controlling more offensive zone time, has been a product of them being in the neutral zone and being a lot more assertive there?
In the neutral zone?
Yeah, like being more assertive to create
I
enemies.
don't really look at the neutral zone as much. How much time you spend in your end of the rink, and I think that's an area for me that they've really worked at and they've taken pride in. I thought tonight they did a good job of staying out of there as much as they could possibly be. I think that those guys buy in just like all the other lines, and I think that helps them. I think everybody realizes now that when we defend, and I say 200 feet defending, not just our end. When we defend, might be through the neutral zone, whatever it is, tracking back, those type of things, it gets you the puck back. And it gives you a chance to go play offense, and that's what everybody wants to do.
This morning we talked about how the power play units kind of challenge each other, and maybe shortly before Velarde scored it, I don't know if you felt this way, it didn't feel like the one that a goal would come from, but he takes the puck up almost assertively to the half wall and sort of resets things. And I wonder if that's a sign that the guys on your unit take extra responsibility for the pace that it's playing at to elevate that standard.
Yeah, we've kind of saw the last couple of games where teams were kind of sitting back on us a little bit, and tonight Utah went after us, and they pressured us quick, and they pushed us down the wall, and they trapped down on us, and so that was a good reset to kind of come out of it. I think KC also had it kind of come up above, and we kind of got away from it a little bit, and that opened up JMO's shot. But that's probably the biggest thing, is that they're recognizing when there's pressure coming that we got to get away from the pressure and get it set, and kind of Gabe doing that. I thought KC did it too, to get it up and away, and he set it to Scheif, and that's just some of the things that those guys are kind of picking up on. They're recognizing what the opposition is doing. Like I said, tonight was more aggressive than maybe we've seen in the past.
A couple of the guys, I guess it was Josh and Nino, who were saying there's just so many different ways that you've won, and it seems to give some confidence that, hey, when there's that many different options to win a game of different styles, it might be a more sustainable feeling. Do you feel like being versatile helps in that way?
Yeah, I think it does, because every opponent you run into each night throws a different game at you, or a different look at you, or sort of a different way of attacking us, or trying to defend us. So we're finding different ways of winning, and whether that's playing a heavy, hard dump and chase game, if that's a skill game, if that's getting to the inside, if it's our specialty teams, like you mentioned, different things kind of winning us hockey games. We're finding ways to get in games and stay in games and get the outcome that we need.
Coach, I'm sure that you spent a lot of time focusing on getting off to a fast start this year. Could you ever have anticipated a 12-1 start in the NHL?
No, not at all. Obviously, you go into every game hoping to win every game, and you're planning to win every game. It doesn't always work itself out, but kind of Murat's saying our depth and our way of getting in different ways of scoring and different ways of winning games. These hopefully are all things that we're building confidence to do this for. We still got what it is, the number 70 to go, whatever. But again, it's all, we're all real happy, real excited about what's happened. But again, this is our big divisional week. Starting with Utah here tonight, it was 2 points. We know who's coming in next. Colorado and Dallas again. So these are still for us. It's one thing about this group we have done. We've focused on our opponent, and then once that was done, we reset and got ready for the next opponent.
You like to use the term protecting the guts of the ice. Is that about as good an example?
Yeah, that was a pretty good example tonight. I thought that, like I said, their top six, not big guys, but extremely quick and darting in and out and making plays and second opportunities. And we knew that we had to have some layers. Nino's situation, it had to be people kind of making sure that backing up, coming in late, doing all those things. I thought we did a real good job of protecting tonight.
I'm interested in the level that you see Mark Scheifele at right now as a puck distributor.
Compared to,
I
I thought he's a tremendous puck distributor.
Exactly.
I think he's always been that.
Is
Compared
this
to a
just
goal scorer, I don't know. I don't know where to.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking of that pass that he finds KC on right at the end of the game there. There's four legs there, two sticks, and he gets it through a tiny little hole perfectly on the stick. It feels to me that as good as he's been, he may be finding even more passes in tighter spaces than we've seen in the past and making it look easy.
Yeah, I think when we talked the other day about KC and him getting all those looks and those chances, I think that's part of that chemistry, is that him and Scheif have a pretty good idea where each other's going to be, and Scheif has a way of being deceptive and, maybe holding on to an extra second than that others maybe don't. And then, he has a way of finding people. And right now those guys have been connecting that way. And you throw Gabe in there and it's a pretty good threesome.
And just last one, what kind of game you saw out of Sandberg tonight?
Oh, just you saw it, obviously the PK, blocking those shots, and then comes down to the third period. He has to do it again. He laid out right in front of another one. Didn't matter that he got hit earlier. He's been, we've asked him to take on a big load this year, and he's been pretty consistent. He said to go out and play against some top skill. I thought him and P have done a good job of giving us, our top four have done a great job against opposition's top six. Thanks, guys.
There he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel speaking to the assembled media after the Winnipeg Jets 3-0 victory over the Utah Hockey Club. I thought one of the points that somebody asked about and that Scott spoke about, 21 shots against when you have 4 power play opportunities against is a really remarkable number for the Winnipeg Jets. To give up that few shots in the course of this game really speaks to the style and the smothering nature of the Jets game tonight, Dave. They really did take time and space away from Utah, which is a huge that's how the Jets want to play. We've been seeing that. We sort of maybe saw them getting away from that a little bit in the offensive flurry of the last few games, but to take a divisional opponent and smother them to that effect. And you think about the 3 games, I think it's 3 games now against divisional opponents, shutout against the Utah Hockey Club, 1 goal against the Chicago Blackhawks, 1 goal against the Minnesota Wild, if I'm recalling correctly. So you've played 3 divisional opponents. You've given up a grand total of 2 goals, and you've really tightened up your defensive structure in those games.
Yeah, and if you can give up only 1 goal against Colorado and Dallas, then we're really talking. I don't think anybody's expecting that. But how many people expected the Jets to start the season 12-1 and be first in the league in goals for, goals against, goal differential, power play? I mean, we can go on and on and on and on here. The numbers don't lie. I mean, this Jets start, even though none of us really expected it, I don't think anybody was predicting. I mean, I think some people thought the Jets would have a good start based on their schedule, right? We talked about it. Their strength of schedule was probably, at the very least top 5 in the league when you consider most of these teams are non-playoff teams, but you beat them, right? Like that's the whole point. Like
but
the
good
Jets
start is 8-5. A good start is 8-4-1. It's 9-4. I mean, a good start isn't 12-1. That's that's an exceptional start.
Phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's elite, whatever word you want to use.
That came out. They're the 6th NHL team in history. In the history of the NHL, they're only the 6th team to start a season with 12 wins in their first 13 games. So they are rewriting the record book in terms of how good the start is. And tonight was just another example, but it was workmanlike. That's what I thought is so important in tonight's game, is it didn't have a lot of flash. This wasn't going to be the kind of game that was going to be run and gun and flashy and exciting and edge of your seat kind of hockey. It was going to have to be a grind, and the Jets just stayed with it. They grind to get the victory. They win the puck battles. They block the shots. They do all the little things necessary that aren't flashy, but are truly the most effective way to end up in a victory.
Yeah, and we'll get into that maybe on Saturday's show in terms of why they're selling out the barn. I mean, let's focus on the fact the Jets are winning, okay? But we'll get into that maybe on Saturday, John. But for Baseway here, who's asking where my poppy is, Drew and Dave obviously are wearing their poppies. I had a poppy in my car, and I went out right before the show started. Dave and Drew can back me up here, and I couldn't find it, so it must have fallen between the seats or something like that. So don't you worry.
What he meant is he can't find his car. His car is gone with the poppy in it. So,
dude, where's my car? I have no idea where my car is. No, but Baseway, don't you worry. I rock the poppy. I was actually talking to my kids today about Remembrance Day and how important it is. So it's definitely important to wear the poppy. But guys, I want to touch on one thing that Scott Arniel talked about. Well, we can touch on a bunch of things Scott Arniel talked about. I know we're going to get into the game recap here, Drew, but this post-game show could easily be a Dylan Sandberg appreciation hour. Like, who led all players in ice time tonight? Dylan Samberg. And what was the kind of question mark going into this season was the second pair. Neil Pionk has certainly elevated his game. We know he's racking up the points like they're going out of style. Dylan Samberg, like it's almost like he was like the bionic man tonight. Like he gets high sticked, he just got right up, and it was almost like, he was like T-1000 for those who know what I'm talking about, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. He was incredible on the PK, jumping up into the play, his physicality. Anybody who's listened to the show, Dave, you know that I could go on and on about Dylan Samberg, but he was incredible tonight. And I think he kind of, personified the game tonight. Like Drew mentioned,
that's a good way of
workmanlike.
putting it.
He the Jets, they were patient, and that was talked about a lot on the broadcast. But I think, what stands out to me, and we have quite a good discussion in the chat going on about Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor's defensive play. Scheifele was physical tonight. Kyle Connor, you hear a lot about him backtracking. Like he's engaged on both sides of the puck. And that line, like that was one of their better lines. And, Dave was there today at Canada Life Center, and the question was asked to Kyle, I believe it was by John Liu, Dave, about if is this the best hockey he's ever been playing? Well, guys, we've been covering Kyle Connor every year since he jumped into the NHL from the University of Michigan. I'm going to put this out there right now. This is just my own personal opinion. I think this is the best hockey we've ever seen Kyle Connor play. And he didn't even get a point tonight, right? So his point streak comes to an end, but he was excellent defensively. When the Jets, did have their few power plays, obviously, the Jets scored on one of them. He was out there and he was having an impact. So Kyle Connor was excellent. Dylan Samberg was excellent. That third line, even though, it wasn't one of their loudest games, they saved their best for last, and they had a good third period. So, and Connor Hellebuyck made the saves when he needed to. We talked about it. Clayton Keller had a couple of good chances in the second. Dylan Guenther, I think he finished with 4 or 5 shots. He was very noticeable tonight on that top line. So, Gunther's on the second line, but Keller, of course, is on the first line with Logan Cooley and Guenther is on the top line. So yeah, it's Cooley, Guenther, and Keller. So I mean, Hellebuyck made the saves when he needed to make the saves, and at the end of the day, the Jets find a way to win again, and we're almost getting tired of saying that, but they've proven that they can win in a variety of ways.
I don't think the Jets fans are getting tired of hearing us say that, Dave M. But I think when you're looking at Kyle Connor's play, and to Ezzy's point, it's far more of a 200-foot game than we're used to seeing from him, where he's making plays deep in the Jets' defensive zone, and that's where he's sort of starting his activities from. That some of his breakouts, some of his opportunities are starting deep in the Jets' defensive zone. So you are seeing a focus from the defensive side of the game that you're not typically used to seeing from him. And to Ezzy's point, Dave, that's certainly been a huge change and a huge asset and a huge reason for the Jets' continued success early this season. You're on mute. Unmute yourself, ding dong.
I didn't mute me. Someone else must have muted me.
Nobody else muted you, unless you've been muted since Arneal finished talking 15 minutes ago.
Possibly. I mean, you guys haven't stopped talking. I mean,
not you guys. One
Dave,
guy.
You think I know how to mute you? If I knew how to mute others, I would be muting Drew all the time.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, these guys I've been on. I did a lot of shows this weekend. As he wants to he's got the conch. I'm going to let him have it for a little bit.
I've had a week off. I've been moving. River Heights to St. James, my erotic journey from River Heights to St. James. I've been busy. I've missed a few shows. I appreciate it. Stepping up with COVID. That's why Dave M has always been the IC MVP.
Well, I appreciate that. But no, I mean, it has been a remarkable achievement that we've watched this team do to this point. The fact that they keep, as it was just said on the broadcast, or not the broadcast, this is the broadcast on the media availability with head coach Scott Arneal. It really is feeling like every single game there's a different way that this team wins, and the cornerstone is always the same. The 5-on-5 play has improved. The special teams have been great, including the penalty kill today. And I know, Drew, you're right. They were allowing a few more power play goals of late. And you could see it because their penalty kill had slipped from, I think, 6 in the overall down to, I think it was like 21st as of yesterday. So I mean, they'll go back up a little bit now after today. But look, this is a team that is producing and is getting production. And like you said, Drew, after what we saw from the fourth line the last couple of games, a little bit of a an interesting game from them. Utah's an interesting team, although I got to be honest with you, and I'll put this to the chat. I don't know how many people felt like they were watching the Winnipeg Ice, because that jersey is identical to the Winnipeg Ice jersey. Like, honestly, Judy
and
Owens,
the Aviators.
yeah, like, well, that too, Drew, as with the lettering. But like, it's funny because I was talking to Judy Owen, who works for the Canadian Press, who sits beside us in the press box, and I said, Judy, what's the difference? She goes, well, there's a little more green or blue or whatever in the arm. I said, they're pretty much the Winnipeg Ice jerseys. And whenever they become the Utah Yetis next year, they're going to steal the Yeti from the Winnipeg Ice as well. So it was pretty.
That's funny. Yeah,
seriously, I think the chat will agree with me on that one, because I was looking at it. I was like, this looks eerie. How much? Because we haven't ever. I mean, again, it's kind of a historic day. It's the first time we've ever seen Utah in Winnipeg. So chance to see a new hockey team, first time since Seattle. So that'd be 2 years ago.
It's also funny too, Dave. Sorry to cut you off there. It's also funny how they traded Connor Geekie, who obviously played for the Winnipeg Ice.
Yes.
Which would have made a lot of sense for them to keep him, because he would have looked exactly the same as he did when he played for the Ice, right?
Well, Connor Geekie was a big focus for us on Sunday, and thankfully for Connor Hellebuck. And we could talk about that a little bit maybe after the recap, because Connor Hellebuck provided some very good content for our YouTube channel. And
can we talk about how Hellebuck has a goalie interference presentation that he submitted to the NHL?
And I love the, I love the arrogance that they, that they have this opportunity to touch base with goaltenders. This is off topic. That they have the opportunity to touch base with goaltenders, get their insights, get their opinions. He goes to the trouble of putting together this presentation, presenting it to them in a respectful and educational manner, and then they're like, "Now we got this. It's okay." The complete shit show that is goaltending interference, we're good with that. We don't really care what you have to say on the subject matter. I mean, these guys.
Well, the funniest thing, Drew, we were both at the game. You were taking pictures of me eating pizza and then circulating them to our friends.
It's true.
Or maybe you sent it to me and then I circulated it to my friends, just to show that I was eating and living well. But I mean, everybody
that was everybody. Game, I'm not sure that's eating well by anybody's definition.
I think that's anytime you're eating pizza, you're eating well, right, Dave? Especially if it's from Boston Pizza, of course, which I went to with my family and had a wonderful meal tonight. Used up all my kids' card meals. But
you didn't have any kids with you, though. That was the thing. You were just recruiting children off the street
true.
so you could get the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the worms and dirt for dessert. Always get that. No, I'm kidding. Ruben gets that. But I mean, what the point I'm trying to make is that wasn't just goalie interference. That was obvious goalie interference. Like, clearly Geekie pushes and interferes with Hellebuck's pad. That's what the funniest thing about it was. But I love the fact that, Hellebuck has submitted a presentation to the NHL, and that he believes that the NHL hasn't looked at it, like Drew said, which is completely ridiculous. Who better to tell you what goalie interference is than the two-time Vezina Trophy winner, right, Dave?
Yeah, it's wild. Well, let's talk about it at the other end of the break.
Let's get into the Betway game recap. How about that? 34 minutes into the Illegal Curve post-game show. We haven't even started the Betway game recap. So we'll do that now here on the show. Sorry, Play Now game recap. Damn it.
The Play Now game recap.
There's a team in Utah, a team in Arizona. I got different sponsors. Things are not going well for Mr. Mindell so far.
Have another sip, Drew.
Yeah, exactly. I think I need to drink more of the red wine.
Here, I'll have a sip for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The Play Now game recap, I apologize, is of course brought to you by our friends at Play Now. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. No scoring in the first period of tonight's game. A first period that was controlled certainly by the Winnipeg Jets. 12-6. The shots on goal through the first period. The Jets had about 65% of the possession, 60% of the possession, 82% of the expected goals for percentage. So they weren't able to get anything past Karel Vejmelka, but it wasn't for lack of opportunity, and it certainly wasn't for lack of control of the pace of the game. A good first period for the Winnipeg Jets on everything but the scoreboard that indicates how many goals have been scored.
Right. And just look, like the second period was clearly Utah's best period. They only had one high danger chance in the first and third period at even strength, right? That's typical Winnipeg Jets hockey. And I find it funny that, the Jets are the reigning William Jennings Trophy winners, and people are surprised that they're so stingy defensively, right? Like, I think it's to Dave's point. What's so surprising about what the Jets are doing is that they're scoring 4.5 goals a game, right? Yeah. So they're only allowing on average a couple goals a game. And, that's why their goal differential is plus, plus 735 or something at this point? Like
roughly. It's now plus 32.
32, yeah.
After 12 games.
Yeah.
Right. So they were really stingy defensively in the first period. And, again, it goes back to what we were kind of talking about. The Jets are kind of chameleons. They can play whatever style they need to based on what's going on out there. And, we saw the skill on display, guys. Like, you saw that give and go in the first period between Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley, where they kind of cut into the middle, and then Logan Cooley dropped it between his legs, or it was Clayton Keller dropped it between his legs to Logan Cooley. It didn't result in a great scoring chance, but it just showed you that line was really I thought, to be honest with you, that line, the Logan Cooley line, Adam Lowry's line had trouble with that line tonight. Like, and they're fast and skilled.
That's a high skill. That's a high danger line. I mean, that's a line filled with top 10 first round draft picks. So they should be able to go out there and do something. And that's where, Utah's issues come into play, is they have that great first line, but then after that, their depth is not great. I mean, they don't have the high end talent behind that to really make up for when that line gets, doesn't get them.
I
going
thought Drew Barrett, Hayden, Nick Schmaltz, and Michelli, I didn't think they were that strong tonight, and that's partly because
did you notice Alex Kerfoot out there? Did you notice? I mean, there's lots of guys.
Nick Bjugstad, I think, actually had probably their best scoring chance in the first period, but I mean, it's again, that's few and far between, right? Like, the Utah Hockey Club, they should. I'm with Dave. They should just be called Utah Yeti at this point. Everybody knows it's going to be Yeti, so let's just call them Yeti. But it's a mixture of veteran players and younger players. So you've got the Logan Cooleys, and you've got the Dylan Gunthers, the future of the team. But then that third line, I actually didn't mind with Lawson Krause, and Nick Bjugstad and Alex Kerfoot. But no, Drew, I mean, they weren't that noticeable. They had a few chances. Remember, Bjugstad was taken down. I forget if that was the first period or the second period. He went into the net after a drive.
Second period.
Yeah, it was the second. So, I mean, look, the numbers speak for themselves. This was a low event game with not a lot of high danger, kind of those inner slot shots. The Jets did a good job of protecting the middle. And the thing that I kept marveling at in this game, guys, and we've talked about this, and Dave is right, we talked about this last year too, how quickly this team gets the puck out of their own zone. Like, it is incredible that from D to forward and into the other team's zone in like a second, 2 seconds. And, that's kind of what you saw. Anytime there was any danger, there wasn't a lot of second chances, not only in that first period, but throughout the game.
And, the one thing I just want to add quickly is, this is where I really noticed in the first period was Kyle Connor and how silky smooth he can be sometimes. And it really is remarkable watching what he's doing. And the point that Ezzy made earlier, he's right. We've watched everything Kyle Connor has done. We've watched him in Michigan. We watched him in Manitoba. And now we've watched him with Winnipeg for the last.
We watch him in Youngstown, though?
We didn't really know. We weren't really there yet, Ezzy. That wasn't our thing. We did watch him in Southeast Florida, South Florida, when he was drafted by the Winnipeg
Never forget
Jets.
that. I just quickly here before we get into the first goal and Dave continues. I'll never forget there because Drew, you weren't at that draft. You were at the Philly draft.
We went to Florida. Tell you exactly where I was. I was in Reno, Nevada.
There you go.
When that draft
in 2015, right?
Yeah.
And Dave and I were kind of jumping on with Hustler and Lawless, and we were talking to Craig Button, and Connor went 17th, right?
Yeah.
Because Boston had those 3 picks and they didn't use them.
And then Barzell went 16th.
Right. And if there's anybody that knows what they're talking about, it's definitely not the three of us. Craig Button knows what he's talking about. And back in 2015, which is hard to believe was 9 years ago, he told us, Gary was still part of the station back then. He said, you guys have a steal at 17. And he was right. If you redo that 2015 draft, obviously, I think Connor McDavid's still going first overall. And I think you guys, aren't going to argue that. Does Kyle Connor go top 5 in that class? He for sure goes top, like he goes a lot higher than 17th. He's at least top 10 in that class.
I would say he probably does. I mean, in terms of goal scoring ability.
Well, I mean, look, that was a really good draft class, 2015. Yeah. To the point that as he's making, and it's a story I've told before, but I'll just quickly, tell it now. We were on the bus in Philadelphia in the 2014 draft, and the interesting thing about being on the buses is generally everybody's mixed up. So it's media, it's scouts, it's management, and
celebrities like us.
Celebrities, and then you go to the draft, and you're all bussed together from the various hotels. And I remember being on the bus beside my main man, Ezzy Ginsburg, and sorry, Drew, and
okay.
And it was interesting because we heard the scouts, they were already talking about the 2015 draft. They weren't even thinking about 2014, and they kept talking about. But my favorite is they talk about it in code. Well, there's an A+ prospect. Yeah, his name's McDavid. Oh, there's an A+ prospect. Yeah, his name's Eichel. We get it. Like, it's understood. But the fact is, they were so excited about 2015, and we hadn't even. I don't even think it was. I think it was being bussed to the first round, boys. The Friday night. So, anyways, lots of excitement, and yeah, Kyle Connor has been a phenomenal addition. And I'm just now that we've kind of really kind of circled around it, the point I was trying to make is just you just see the things that he's doing now defensively. His aggressiveness, first of all, and as in another aside, and for the Jets 1.0 fans in the crowd, and I know I already put this on Twitter, but Kyle Connor with his duster.
Yeah, but he
looks identical to Doug Smale. I'm sorry.
I know, but if you're all of a sudden going to try and step up, if you're all of a sudden going to try and step up in the mustache game, you got big shoes you gotta fill. I mean, look at this thing. Look at this thing.
Drew, even I want a mustache ride.
I wasn't offering them.
And the show's over. Anyways, all I was going to say is that he looks identical. Every November, I always think this guy looks just like Doug Smale. And it's funny because Doug Smale was fast, could score, not quite the same as Kyle Connor, but
was he wore number 12, right? Is he number 12?
It's funny. I was trying to remember what number he was because I was looking at the career Jets. It's interesting because Josh Morrissey has played like 595 games now, and he would be the fourth most on the Jets 1.0, which is behind Steen, who had 950, Howard Chuck, whatever he had, and Smale had, I think, 600 something games, 621.
The combination of Kyle Connor's mustache and shiner is incredible. Like to your point, Dave, he's a throwback 1980s hockey player right now. And it makes sense because he's getting the type of points you would get in the 1980s as well.
Anyway, so just to kind of finish my Kyle Connor thought, I just see what he's doing now in tight, and he's going around guys. And as it was too bad because had he scored, he would have put Nick Schmaltz into a bad place because I don't know if you remember that play where he kind of dipsy doodled around Schmaltz in the first period. And, I was going to do a Schmaltz on Schmaltz thing, but I didn't get a chance to because he didn't score. But the truth is you're just watching a guy who's playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. And we know he already has a ton, but it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like last year, he just never got back to the level. Like we saw him start off extraordinarily hot, then obviously got injured in Anaheim and, with the knee injury, came back, but he just wasn't the same player. He was good, but he just wasn't that same Kyle Connor. This is like Kyle Connor on steroids right now. Like it's just ridiculous what we're seeing from him night in and night out. And whether it's his defensive play, which results in offensive opportunity, we're seeing it. I think a lot of other folks are recognizing it, and it really serves the Jets well when 81 is flying the way he is.
And we got Jess saying that it's because his wife announced that she was pregnant, so it's the dad energy tonight.
There you go.
Well, whatever it is, the Jets will gladly keep Kyle Connor playing the way he is.
Bruce is saying that Smale wore number 9, and now that he's saying that, it does.
I was close. I was only 3 off.
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. You're right. No score after 20 minutes, as I mentioned. Second period, not quite the same. Much more of a grinder. I thought Utah was better in the second period, and the Jets maybe weren't quite as good as they were In the first, the Jets do kill off 2 Utah penalty opportunities or power play opportunities in that second period. Colin Miller gets called, and then Kyle Connor gets called. This, of course, after Rasmus Kupari gets called in the first period. The Jets then get their opportunity on the power play with Dylan Gunther in the box for hooking. Then there's, the Jets get their time to shine. And as we mentioned, it's basically the first unit out there for almost the entirety of the power play opportunity. They had control of the puck for the most part in the Utah zone. Wasn't necessarily what I would describe as smooth, but the Jets kept winning puck battles. They kept winning puck retrievals, and eventually it ends up with the big boomer of the shot from Josh Morrissey, tipped by Gabe Vilardi. The secondary assist goes to Mark Scheifele, and sure, it's not necessarily his goal, but it's the slap shot that results in the tip, which results in the goal. So for me, given that it's the game-winning goal, it's also good enough to be the
Seager shot of the game.
And again, I think on this power play, you look at it, you like, maybe there's a little bit of overpassing. I saw our buddy Scott Billick sort of say he thought that they were overpassing.
They were not on this play specifically, but throughout the course of the game, I thought the Jets were trying to be too cute and not, which is unusual, but they were making like one extra pass. I thought Utah was doing it as well, for the record, for whatever it was worth.
Both teams were, but on this power play, the Jets stayed with it, and they eventually found that opportunity to get the shot through, and Morrissey did a very nice job putting it in a way where Vilardi could tip it, and he redirects it past Vejmelka at the 17:57 mark. So with 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go in the second period, the Jets finally have their first lead of the game, 1-0, Mr. Ginsburg.
Yeah, I want to go back to Kyle Connor, and I don't really care if, like, I imagine 98% of the people watching the show right now are okay about us gushing about Kyle Connor. The other 2%, I don't really care because he's playing that well right now. He really is. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing on this is obviously he doesn't get a point, but what he does here, guys, you remember there's a few things that I remember about this power play goal. Gabe Vilardi gives Ian Cole a pretty good cross check about 20 seconds before this goal is scored to give himself a little bit of room in front, right? And as we'll get into when he tips the puck, he's kind of, he's not really touched there. But the thing that Kyle Connor does is he holds onto the puck, and then Ian Cole comes out and starts to challenge him. What does Connor do? He holds onto it, skates back, takes it back to the blue line, gets it into Scheifele, who's at the face-off circle, who gets it back to Morrissey, who obviously gets the shot. But Kyle Connor just wanted to get that in there. He does a lot of good work there, forcing Ian Cole to get out of position, holding onto the puck, doing what he does. You hear about it all the time, but he's really good with those cutbacks, so he doesn't get a point. I just wanted to get that in there. But the other thing was I thought Gabe Vilardi did a good job making space for himself, and I just didn't think Mikhail Sergachev, I just thought he was a little bit out of position, and he just wasn't. There was no stick or any body on Gabe Vilardi. So credit to Vilardi for going to where the coach is telling you to go, right, and getting a stick on that shot, Dave. But I just thought that, Utah's penalty killing, they were just chasing the puck around a little bit and puck watching.
Yeah, they definitely were. I mean, and Scott Arneal, sorry, Dave, alluded to how aggressive they were on the penalty kill, Utah, and the Jets did a good job playing keep away and then eventually being able to expose the shooting lane that's vacated.
Yeah, and I just want to add a little clarity because, Ezzy, you were right. Doug Smale did wear 12 because the Jets retired. The Jets retired.
Check out the big brain on Ginsburg.
Well, but hold on, 81 to 89, he wore number 9. And then when they retired Bobby Hull's 9, he had to switch, and he switched to number 12.
I just remember that from going to watch him as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew was a teenager when he played, but
who wore number 12 after Doug Smale? They got him in a trade with the Leafs.
Oh, I got this one. Mike Eastwood.
Nope.
Eddie Olczyk?
12. Okay, give us another hint.
Mark Osborne.
I was going to say that was my next one. Was going to be Mark Osborne.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. Mark Osborne.
Dave's got the trivia as per usual. 1-0 after 20.
I thought
minutes.
I had it with Mike Eastwood.
That's a good guess.
It was a good guess. 1-0 after 20 minutes. The big save there in that second period comes late. Connor Hellebuck makes two very good saves off of Clayton Keller after Dylan Sandberg, runs himself into a little bit of trouble trying to take the puck up the ice. You turn over, and then Keller with two opportunities, but Hellebuck's best saves of the game, as far as I'm concerned, keep it 1-0 after the 40-minute mark of this contest. And then the Jets make it 2-0, and this really felt like an insurmountable hill for the I'm going to call them the Coyotes, for the Utah Hockey Club to climb. Yeah, Nino Niederreiter, game 900, goal number 6 on the season, assist to Mason Appleton and Adam Lowry. And Scott Arniel was talking about it during the post game. It's going to be on the video review. This is how you have to play hockey in the NHL. You play defensively first. You win your defensive battles. You transition up the ice. A great vision by Appleton to spot Nino Niederreiter as the trailer, and then Niederreiter with the great patience to deke out Vemelka and tuck it behind him into the empty net to make it 2-0 for the Jets with about 12 and a half minutes to go, Dave.
Yeah, it's just a heads-up play by a smart player. And, you know, every single person who talks about Nino Niederreiter talks about what a solid, person he is, but also what a solid player. And we've been watching him now with the Jets for a few years, and also just in terms of what he's been able to do as an NHLer. Getting to career game 900 is not insignificant. And, he's a real well-liked guy out there. And you can just see, like you said, Drew, it was one of the biggest points that was talked about with Scott Arniel this morning, was that idea of, getting that buy-in of the defense, or maybe it was with Kyle Connor, but it was the idea of the defense, the buy-in. You're getting players, and this line, of course, we know plays that way. It's not like it needs to be taught to them, but it is a perfect, as Murat asked them, it's a perfect way of illustrating how you can achieve good offense, or not good offense, but offense through good defense. Nino Niederreiter looks over his shoulder, sees it, makes the play, sets up the goal. So for me, it was just such a backbreaker, because I didn't think Utah was coming on. I actually thought like the Jets were playing well, and they were still getting chances. They were creating some flurries, but at the same time, it just gives you that time and that space. Right now, you've got a little breathing room, and before I know you talked about the Hellebuck save, but those are timely saves. Those were really significant, critically in my mind, because what a different, it's 14 seconds left to go in the second period, right? So he doesn't make that save. Suddenly it's a 1-1 game. I'm not saying you lose, but it changes the complete nature of that hockey game. Connor Hellebuck is the best goaltender in the NHL for a reason.
Well, it's taking you 37 minutes to get a goal. You don't want the opponent to get a goal, within the last, 2 minutes at that point.
It was 14 seconds, Drew. There's 14 seconds left in the clock.
Right. So
I'm saying, it's basically like you go in and it's deflating because you've got that 1-0 lead. And I do think, even though, to the point that Ezzy made, there weren't a ton of high danger chances. There wasn't a lot of pressure, but Hellebuck wanted this game. I really think that after everything that happened yesterday, and again, we can talk about that later. I think after everything that happened yesterday, I think there was I think there's just something in him this year that just seems different. And I'm not saying he's going to continue this and the Jets are going to continue this, but it just seems like there's a different element amongst this team in general than what we're used to seeing. So anyways, getting back to the goal, 2-0. And like I said, good defense creates offense, and it's just going to keep spreading around amongst the team.
And Dave, if I could just add one more thing on that goal.
Yeah.
Michael Kesselring, we haven't really talked about him, but it's
not a good effort.
Well, but it's Dave mentions that Nino Niederreiter is such a smart player. Like he really is. And, he could easily be a top 6 second line player. I know we sometimes call him a second line player. What I'm talking about is he could play on a team's second line, because we're still calling the Lowry line the third line. But the point I wanted to make about Kesselring is it's funny because Morrissey starts the breakout and it's a soft pass. So Niederreiter could have easily just tried to handle that puck. But the fact that he ties up Kesselring to allow the puck to go past, Morrissey then follows up with the play and then gets the puck up to Lowry. And then Kesselring now is behind the play. So Nino Niederreiter now has the speed coming into the zone. And then Dylan Guenther actually does the right thing and takes Lowry. Sergachev's in a position where he can't really handle Appleton, right? Because he's wide. And then it's just kind of, I don't know if it's irony that Kesselring, or unfortunate maybe, that Kesselring just can't get back into the play. But it's just,
well, go
like
back
Dave
and watch
said,
his effort there. You see a lot of glides. You see some glides there, rather than some strides. And that's what I don't like about
no, but I
his
just
effort on
think,
that play.
no, you're right. You're good to point that out, Drew, and you're right. But I just think that, Nino Niederreiter deserves a lot of credit for that's a guy who's played 900 games in the NHL to just make that play. It's a subtle play that could have easily not resulted in anything, but because I almost called them the Utah Jazz, because Utah had some players in deep, it created a odd man 3-on-2 situation. So that's all I wanted to get in there. It was, a really, smart play by Niederreiter in obviously a milestone game.
And he makes it a second goal of the game. It's the empty netter just after Utah pulls Vejmelka. There's a turnover right sort of at the top of the Jets, just inside the Jets blue line. They calmly and composed get it out of their zone. And then you can see that like the defenseman is playing as if it's a 2-on-1 with a goaltender in the net. And like you can sort of see Niederreiter, like his thought process. He's like, I want to give it back to Appleton, but the defender is shading over to Appleton, which means there's just an empty net for him to shoot at. He's like, okay. And he puts it into the net and made it 3-0 at the 17:01 mark. And the Jets take it home from there for the final 2 minutes and 59 seconds. They don't give up a goal. They only give up 21 shots on the game, and they win their 12th of the season in 13 contests, their third division game as they're perfect in division, and they good times keep on rolling with tonight's 3-0 victory over the Utah Hockey Club. That does it for the Play Now. Make sure I say Play Now again. Game recap. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support. We'll pay a few bills, and then when we come back, more on the Jets and the Utah Hockey Club, and we'll look ahead briefly to Thursday night against the Colorado Avalanche. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on a Tuesday night. Don't go anywhere. You have nothing else to watch. This is the most important show that is happening tonight by far, and it's also the one that's going to least likely give you a coronary. So stay with us. It's the Illegal Curve postgame show.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Center. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Center. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal. Starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
Shortly before 11 o'clock Central Time, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew
And the
Mandel.
next president of the United States is...
We're not talking politics on the show, Ezzy, for everybody's benefit. I think we've all agreed, even if it hasn't been explicitly said, we've all agreed to not talk politics because this is a nice, friendly, politics-free zone. Everybody needs a respite from the non-stop political machine, and that's what you get here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, the Illegal Curve post-game show. You get the non-stop hockey machine, but no politics involved. How's this for some stats? This courtesy of Sportsnet stats. Since April 1st, just regular season stats, the Jets are 20-1.
Is that good?
April 1st, they have 4.62 goals per game. Their power play is 37%. Their save percentage is .925. Their goal differential is plus 52. So
I have a question though, Drew. What happened? What happened? What happened? No, what happened after April 1st? Yeah, like what happened after April 1st? Wasn't there like some 5-game series where they got destroyed?
It's amazing how many of these stats mavens are just ignoring that playoff side of things.
You may not want to leave that part out.
But Dave, if you're looking at just regular season,
no, I know, I'm joking. As it believe me, nobody loves this minutia.
20 of their last 21 games. Like, I'm sorry, that is absurd.
Yeah,
that is absolutely absurd.
Well, let me tell you, I can tell you one thing. It's made the last 20 post-game shows, regular season post-game shows, the place to be, the place for you to be subscribing. The other thing also, word of mouth. Let people know. If you're spending time here, you should also let your friends, family, let them know this is the place to be. I may or may not have been in Polo Park. I was talking to someone wearing IC gear, of course. And they're like, oh, you're on that show? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I like the show. Well, actually, this person liked our Twitter account. But regardless, let people know.
I was at my kid's soccer game, and I was sitting watching Sam play soccer on Sunday.
By the way, I'm with Doug. That was last year. Move on.
I agree. No argument, Doug. But these stats are kind of fun.
Dave, let Pele continue.
I promise you, I'm not Pele. I was sitting on the bench watching my son pretend to be Pele, and this very nice gentleman next to me sort of tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Mr. Mindell," which I immediately had to stop him and say,
"Is Sheldon there?"
No, it wasn't. He called me Mr. Mindell, which I found to be very off-putting. To be perfectly honest, I said, "Please call me Drew."
You should be off-putting, Drew.
Yeah, he was very complimentary. He says he watches us all the time. So if you're watching us tonight, I do appreciate that. You tapping me on the shoulder and saying hi. And Ken from North Dakota was at the game on Sunday, and I ran into Ken in the arena. So it was great to catch up with Ken. He was up from North Dakota for the game. So nice to see so many people out and about and acknowledging us and watching the show on the regular.
I enjoyed being in section 222 in the Hockey Manitoba seats, and then Drew texts me and he says he's in 224, and we didn't even meet up.
I saw you after the game.
We could have kibitzed on the concourse. We didn't even talk.
I don't need to kibitz with you. I see you enough. I love you with all my heart, but there's no need for kibitzing. I see you at school. I see you on the shows you choose to do, mind you. I saw you at the game.
Low blow.
That was enough. That was enough kibitzing.
I've been transitioning to St. James, Drew. I've been busy.
I gave you a hug. I gave you a hug when I saw you in the concourse.
That's true.
After the game.
Yeah.
My kids
I was the most
gave you
excited
a hug.
to see Laura, Aaron, and Sam, to be honest.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. That's fine. I mean, there was no need for a supplemental meetup beyond that, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
In any event, the Jets victorious tonight. They're in action on Thursday. The division rival week continues. They have the Colorado Avalanche for the first time since that weird gap that no one's talking about in April. The Jets and the Avs will reacquaint.
The Capo Kakinen revenge game, Drew.
The Capo Kakinen revenge game, indeed.
Was he in net tonight? The Avalanche won 6-3 tonight.
Was he in that tonight? I don't know. Let's check that out. We can go look at the fans.
Today, Ezzy, was today the Kevin Stenlund? There was no Kevin Stenlund video, which of course, I mean, he's been back since.
He took a pretty bad spill into the boards there. I thought he was.
Well, he kind of leaned. It was weird, actually. He leaned on Nemestikov pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then Nemestikov, they both were slow to get up, but I think Nemestikov has kind of felt bad because he seemed fine. And then although Nemestikov's been the been the unfortunate target, or I wouldn't call him a victim, but he's definitely received a fair number of shots lately. He got deposited into the back of the net one of the other games, and he's definitely been on the receiving end of some big hits.
By the way, it was Eustace Annanen.
Yeah, I was going to say it was Eustace Annanen. So who knows who's in net for Colorado on Thursday?
Arvid
And then,
Holm,
of course,
probably.
Saturday, we'll bring the Dallas Stars to town. There you go. Kenny's water bottle. The Capo Kakinen tribute video is going to be awesome indeed. It'll be a fun night on Thursday regardless, and we'll have you covered with all the latest here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. The Winnipeg Jets are off tomorrow, so it's an off day tomorrow. They'll be in action on Thursday, but of course illegalcurve.com will be updated with all your latest news, be that Manitoba Moose news or Winnipeg Jets news, whatever the news of the day, you know that it will be available on illegalcurve.com.
There'll be a little Moose news, no question.
I know you'll bring the Moose news to the people. You do that very well.
But I was already trying to anticipate how I was going to do it, but then I was like, the Moose are practicing at 10:30.
Put on your antlers. It's time for the Minuk Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
You see, this is why I didn't want to give him access to be able to press the button.
I know. I had to. I had to go to bat to give Ezzy the
first time this year for those watching and listening on the podcast.
Yeah.
I have not had admin capabilities. We had to kind of
first and last, by the way.
We had
It can be withdrawn very quickly.
Yeah,
Don't
we had
yourself.
a little. You had to fight with StreamYard a little bit to give us three.
No. They were very good about it.
No, they were good. Thank you, StreamYard overlords.
Nobody knows what StreamYard is. For the record, StreamYard is the technology that we use to distribute this show to our Facebook page and to the YouTube channel and to any of the different platforms that we use. So
this is the first time this year, Game 13, finally, I can post comments and hit that Minuk Moose Minute bumper. So I'm going to do it, Dave. I mean, what did you
That's
expect?
why I'm drinking, folks. That has nothing to do with the U.S. election results. I'm just drinking because Ezzy's got access now.
Anyways, the point is, I was just going to say, so I was trying to figure out how am I going to do both, but good news is I don't have to worry about it. But originally it was going to probably work out because I'd be at Hockey for All Center at 10:30, do that till about an hour and a half, and then book it all the way downtown to the Canada Life and cover the Jets. But I don't have to worry. I don't have to make a choice. There's no big deal there. So I can just give you some Moose coverage tomorrow before they head out to Texas to take on the Stars in Cedar Park. So not the Dallas Stars, the Texas Stars. And
Deep
so
in the heart of Texas.
Yeah. So they'll be doing that come this weekend, and we'll have it covered, of course, on
This ain't home.
There you go.
So before we go, just
Okay.
I mean, again, like I said, I covered it. I was there, but just what were your takeaways from the Hellebuck stuff? Because I do think it's interesting. Like I thought
save it for Saturday. Why don't we spend more time with it on Saturday? We're already an hour 10
Monday.
in.
Tuesday, Drew. We have another game before Saturday.
I was gonna say there'll be like two games. I mean,
we can delve deeper into it and give it the requisite
hey,
amount
Ezzy,
of
you know
time.
what we could do? Kick Drew out. Keep the show rolling. Just saying.
That's fine.
Just saying.
You can do that very well.
Well,
Almost 300 in the chat.
show. I like it.
Yeah. Let's save it for Saturday. We'll delve deeper into it on Saturday because I think it deserves more time than give it short shrift at the end of the post-game show.
Fair enough.
Thank you. That's it for us on this Tuesday evening edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. We want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of Illegal Curve who make this show a possibility. Of course, Play Now, they're the title sponsor of all of our programming. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Mike Rita is in town. Most of the shows for this week are sold out. If you want to see Mike Rita, very limited tickets available. Get them, rumorscomedyclub.com. Holt Dental, Boston Pizza. We're next going to be there on November the 22nd, Friday, November 22nd. Mark it in your calendar. It's a 6:00 puck drop. The Jets are in Pittsburgh to face the Penguins. We're going to be at Boston Pizza for a watch party and a live post-game show. So be sure to join us then. And then, of course, on the 19th of November, the Tuesday, the Florida Panthers are in town, the defending Stanley Cup champions. We'll be at City Place for the noon hour show, the special monthly noon hour show that's coming up on Tuesday, November the 19th. And, of course, Seagram's, they sponsor the shot of the game. Whatever you're drinking, we hope that it is a Seagram's product. And more importantly, we hope that you're drinking it responsibly. Winnipeg Jets victorious again. It's Groundhog Day. I sound like a broken record. 12 wins in 13 games. They defeat the Utah Hockey Club by a 3-0 margin tonight. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. And again, on Saturday mornings is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you on Thursday night, right around 9:40 p.m. Until then, good night, good luck, all the best. Thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.